All right, we going? Hey, everybody. It's Mark and Charlie here once again. But we're going to flip the script today.
And it's going well so far.
And I'm going to try to be the host of this little event that we're doing. Because there's a question that I got. And normally it's Charlie's, he's the one asking the questions. But today I just got to ask him. Charlie.
Yes.
There is craziness going on out here.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's going nuts, man. I mean, everybody's talking about, hey, it's no big deal. Hey, it's a big deal. Hey, what should we do? I mean, it just feels like that's all I hear. Yeah. And I'm looking for your expert
opinion.
Yes, I need because the theologian that you are and the eloquent communicator that you are.
The theology of pandemics.
Yes. I want the goods.
Man, it is so interesting. I don't know how often you feel this way where, I went to seminary 3 years, and I read all sorts of pastoral books and all these things, and supposedly you're getting equipped on how to be a pastor, but then I was sitting here, I have a Greek New Testament. I could.
Tell us. I guess got the answer in there.
I can parse Greek verbs and those kinds of things. But and I think it's one of these things where it's like you as a pastor, you're expected to have answers. It's like, what are we supposed to do? And I think the first thing I want to say is to some degree, we're just kind of all in the same boat. Where this feels new. I know in a lot of ways it's not new. This is the first time a virus has become widespread in the U.S. I mean, H1N1 and SARS. There have been lots of this. I mean, I think there are a few things about this that make it feel worse. That make it feel more panic. I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of where our culture and society is with the rapid forms of communication. I think the polarization of people. I think there's just a lot more information out there, and it's just we're just panicking. And I think the thing that I've been saying for a while, and as the panic and the fear is ramping up, I don't know that I would move off of this, which is somewhere between this is a conspiracy, it's nothing, just wash your hands, we're fine, and I'm going to buy all of the toilet paper at Walmart, right? I mean,
that saves it all.
I think there's a middle space there for us. I mean, just regardless of whether or not we're Christians, just people. I think if we all just kind of lived in a middle space of, okay, I'm going to try to learn from the experts, I'm going to take appropriate precautions, but I'm not going to allow myself to panic. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you move to the Christian side, and I actually texted something like this out to my family today. I was just telling them that I love them, that I know that it's scary, and like a personal step that I made is that I've probably reduced my news consumption probably about 90+%.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what's going on, but I mean, Dr. Pope, at our elder meeting yesterday,
great advice.
Calm down, wash your hands, and turn off the news.
Yes, 3.
But the thing that I also said to my family was, this is a great time to remind ourselves where our hope is. And there's a verse I kind of wanted to read here. Isaiah 41:10. Now this is God talking to his people. He says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And I think that's my biggest piece of advice. And it doesn't really matter whether or not this is a global pandemic, if it's something that's not really going to affect us here. And really, it obviously doesn't even matter what the struggle is. I think it is important for us 24/7, but especially in times when it feels like crisis, that I remember who's got me.
Mm-hmm.
God's got me. He says he's got me. Don't fear, I'm with you. I will strengthen you. I will hold you up by my hand. I'm okay. And you may say to that, but People are going to die.
Right.
People are, yeah, I mean, right?
Right.
I mean, something eventually is going to get all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But God always has me. And I don't want to live my life in fear of the next thing that might get me.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a crisis on this level. It may just be 40 years from now and just a very normal passing. It could be any number of things. But I don't want to live in fear of that. I want to live like someone, and we're going to talk about this in First Thess, where they're worried about death. You know what? Remember,
Right, that's
you
what
know
I was
what
fixing to say, because he says that we wouldn't love as people who have no hope.
Yeah.
That we would, shine because we don't, because we do have the hope. Yeah.
Yeah, it's normal to grieve death, but we don't want to grieve like people who don't have hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal to fear death. It's normal to fear sickness. It's normal to be afraid based on everything that's been saying. But we don't want to grieve. We don't want to be afraid like people who don't have hope.
Mm.
You understand what I mean?
That's a great.
Well, and so we say this a lot at the Grove, just this idea of, man, we want to be people who bring and kind of are carriers of hope and light to people. We live in a dark world, pre-coronavirus. People were anxious and fearful. Mm-hmm. And this is just, I think that's another thing that's kind of about this. It just feels like piling on. I feel like the world is just getting
already in chaos, yeah.
We're already dark. We're already anxious. We're already afraid. Now, this is just one more thing. Mm. Right? And so we were talking about this after the election. We were talking about it. We've been talking about it off and on for the last few years. I mean, everybody knows the world is broken. You don't have to convince anybody of that. What does the world need? It needs people who can bring hope. I don't have any answers. I mean, I agree. Wash your hands. Turn off the news. Those seem like good pieces of advice. Try to stay in this middle lane. I'm not a doctor. Listen to doctors. Listen to disease specialists. Virologists, epidemiologists. Those kind. Listen to those people. Don't listen to me. And that. But what I can say is that we can, in the midst of fear, we can carry hope. And so with that, I would just encourage, just to kind of spend some extra time with God. Like I said, I reduced my consumption of news by about 90%, and I've replaced it with, I'm now in a 90-day read through the Bible plan. Mm-hmm. So anytime I'm in the car, I'm turning on the radio, I'm plugging in my phone, and I'm listening to the Bible, reading the Bible to me. So that I can just be in this constant reminder of the one who's got me. Mm. And so it's just a good discipline for me. And so then, now, I feel a little bit anxious, but I can talk to my family, and I can talk to you, I can talk to y'all, and be like, I am constantly reminding myself that I'm good with God, and I'm at peace internally, even though there's this external anxiety around me. And I want to pass, I just want to throw it in there. And then you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. And I guess if there's one last thing that I would say, this is kind of a side note, man, it's so frustrating to me that kind of how we feel about this virus, there's sides to this, like there's two sides. And Democrats are supposed to feel one way about it, and Republicans are supposed to feel another. Like somehow this is a political issue, that this is our opportunity to get rid of Trump, or this is when Trump needs us the most. It doesn't have anything to do with Trump. It doesn't have anything to do with Republicans. It doesn't have anything to do with Democrats. It's just there is a virus that is being spread around the world, and we need to take precautions, and we need to be at peace. We need to be focused on God. We need to be loving other people. The last thing that this needs is us to throw our political anger onto the fire. Mm-hmm. But that's what we're doing, which again I think has multiplied some of this, because there's some need on some people politically they feel like they need to minimize it, and there's some people who need politically to maximize it. Why don't we just let the experts tell us, and we can decide when this passes in a few months whether or not we need a change in our government. But in the meantime, we don't want to throw our political anger, which is already over the top crazy volatile. We don't need to be throwing that onto a situation where there's already so much fear.
That's That's a good word, man. That that passage from First Thess. Now that we've gotten kicked off this series, any thoughts about that? I know Sunday was impactful to me. Just this church and.
Yeah, I think it's a great book, coincidentally, for us to have studied, and I guess there's no coincidences when you're following the Creator.
It's
God
crazy how
universe,
it just seems like every series it works out that way,
But they were in a tough spot. They were facing major political oppression from the Romans, and then the people who got them the most, the other Jews, were very upset with them because not only because they're battling with the Romans, but they're also battling with their fellow Jews who still have a high animosity towards Jesus and feel like that they are upturning everything that they've believed for generations about what it means to be with God. And so Paul is constantly referring to them and encouraging them for hanging in there during intense persecution.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't persecution, but it's the same kind of thing.
Hardship.
How do I live out my faith when things are hard?
Right.
How do I live out my faith when things are fearful? And I think the best thing that we can do is to draw back to God. And then Paul he's just constantly repeating these basics. Man, you did such a good job. Keep doing this. Believe the gospel. Just with deep conviction. Live a life that looks like Jesus and be a model to the world. Well, okay, that's it. I believe with all my heart that no matter what happens to me in this world, God's got me. That is my deep conviction of the gospel. I'm going to live like Jesus, who lived a peaceful, connected with God and others' life, even though he was poor, even though there was disaster, even though he was hated. Lots of things going on, right? And he obviously then I'm going to be a model to the world. I'm going to show peace to a place that doesn't have any. And so I think we'll continue on. First Thess, we'll just see more and more of that.
Great word, man. Appreciate it.
On a side note, we're canceling the communal communion where everybody dips into the same thing, and we're still gonna say hi to each other, but maybe just kind of air fist bumps.
Maybe foot tap.
Knee.
Foot tap is the new.
I don't know. And, people, and I get it. Everything's getting canceled, and you're not supposed to be around groups of people. And people have already been asking me, how does that apply to church? For right now, we're not going to apply it to church, but I get it if you want to. I'm not going to be sitting around here angry, making a list of people who freaked out too much about this, right? But as a reminder, our services are online during the 10:30 service. We'll definitely want to keep you connected, and we'll just keep you updated if the situation gets to a point to where it is highly recommended by everyone that even smaller gatherings like churches need to make some adjustments. I promise you we will. So we're thinking about it. We're making what we feel like are appropriate steps to kind of make sure everything is safe and good. And so.
And today we didn't talk as much about our When We Pray prayer initiative, but this is a really big week for that. If you haven't seen the details of that went out in the email or on the Facebook page, this is a week that we're praying through all of our ministries and all the people that are involved. And so I would just encourage you to go back to that. Look, there's specific names there that you can bring before the Lord. And then just also this whole, if we one place that I really find a lot of hope is just committing it, casting my cares before Him, and laying those things out before the Lord and letting Him have them and saying that I trust Him with them. It's amazing how much peace that can bring. So let's do that together. Let's continue to pray. All right. See y'all Sunday.
Hey, you did a good job hosting.
Oh.